Hey guys, Roman Reaper here. So yep, it's cinema time. Just outside the cinema. First cinema trip of December. Can't believe we're into the final stretch of the year already, but here we are. It's about to head in and see The Hunger Games, Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Quick curious about this trailer's look pretty solid. It's got plenty of cast members I like. So yeah, I'm expecting a good sort of, crowd-pleasing blockbuster time, especially since this franchise, has its hardcore fan base. And because this is actually my first Hunger Games film. I've never seen any of the others, so if I like this one, I'll maybe check out the rest of the franchise. So yeah, without further ado, I'm gonna head in, get my snacks, get my seat, and go see The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. So yeah, I have my popcorn here and a Fanta, ready to go see this film as tribute. So yeah, Hunger Games Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Just got back from seeing it. And yeah, going into this, I was certainly very curious. The trailers look pretty good. I also like a lot of the cast, and sort of the thing that piqued my interest was like, I've never actually seen the Hunger Games films before. Yeah, I know, but I think what part of my be is that when the whole YA boom was going strong, very much my franchise of choice at that point was Maze Runner, so I think that might have something to do with it. But in saying that, I was going in just expecting a good fun action blockbuster with some solid world building. But does the film deliver on that? And is this a good jumping off point for casuals to start enjoying the franchise? Let's find out. So the film charts the rise to power of Coriolanus Snow, showing him as a young man striving to restore the honor of his family name after the dark days, living in a rundown house with his cousin Tigress and their grandmother, who they both name Grandmam. One day, Snow and all his classmates from the academy, including Sejanus Plinth, are all invited to attend a ceremony known as the Reaping, where tributes from all of the districts of Panem are selected to take part in the 10th annual Hunger Games. However, it's not just the tributes being selected on the day, because soon Snow and all of his classmates are selected to be mentors to the tributes. And Snow finds himself paired up with District 12 tribute Lucy Gray Baird. And he soon finds himself winning Lucy Gray's trust and also going to extremes to ensure her survival and victory. So, yeah, look, going into this, I was sort of like knowing what I'd expect, but also, this was kind of a fresh experience for me. And, certainly going into this as a newbie, as a casual, I can certainly say that, yeah, I was certainly very satisfied with what I got. This is definitely a very good movie. I really enjoyed it. And I think part of why it's so enjoyable is it's certainly a very easy jumping off point for casuals. Like, not just because of the fact it's a prequel, so you don't necessarily need to have watched all the other movies or read the books to sort of understand what's going on here. Like, it does a good enough job of telling its own story and feeling like it stands on its own, which I think is sort of the real appeal here. Like, yes, there are callbacks to the other movies. Like, there is one callback in particular. You'll know when you see it. that, even the most casual audience member will be able to pick up on it. But by and large, it is a very easy to watch movie for casuals and newcomers, as it does largely stand on its own. And I think part of why it's so enjoyable is the really compelling story at its heart, sort of charting how the games became what they are in the mainline franchise, but also with some real strong character drama at its heart, particularly with the young Snow. Like, we sort of see him as this young man, living in squalor, trying to restore his family's honor, and sort of seeing his involvement in the games and how he helped shape them, and of course his relationship with Lucy Gray, to eventually being a peacekeeper in one of the districts, armed guards roaming the streets, trying to keep up the peace, basically doing exactly what the name would suggest. It's very compelling stuff, and it feels very fleshed out, very well rounded. No thanks in small part to the 2 hour and 37-minute runtime, which never feels like it's dragging itself out. It keeps up a very healthy pace throughout, so you're never bored. And it helps as well that the action scenes are very entertaining. Like, they have a sense of scale about them with the wide lenses, but they also have a certain sense of impact about them with some very hard hitting, violent moments. It's very entertaining stuff to watch, and it helps that it's not afraid to get surprisingly grim. Like, we're seeing images like someone being strung up from their arms, and like snakes poisoning people. It gets pretty bleak. And that just only serves to add to that sense of impact that the action has to it. Like, yeah, some of the CGI at points can be a bit naff, but it's nothing too immersion breaking overall. And I think that might be down to the fact that there's some real solid production design here. Like the districts, particularly 12, which we see prominently, have this very sort of grimy industrial look, which is contrasted very nicely with the sleek modern aesthetic of the capital. And some of it, like particularly TV screens and monitors, have this almost retro futurist look about them. It looks really fucking good. There's also a real strong soundtrack, like there's a solid score here. But I think the real highlight of the soundtrack is we get 4 original songs performed by Rachel Zegler. And yeah, she's a very talented singer. The songs are good, and they do serve in building the character of Lucy Gray up very nicely. And talking of character, there are some great performances here. Like, obviously, we've got our lead, Tom Blythe, as the young Snow. He is really good, He has that sort of like innocence of youth about him, sort of gradually growing more harder edged as the film progresses. He's really good, and he's contrasted really nicely with Rachel Zegler as Lucy Gray. Yeah, she's really good, She's a young woman who, very much, speaks for what she believes in, and also has some common ground with Snow on her past experiences, and seeing their dynamic evolve was really interesting, and the two of them have real strong chemistry that makes it all the more believable. Like, they are very much the highlights here. But that's not to say it's just their show. There's some very good supporting actors here as well. We have Hunter Schafer as Snow's cousin Tigress. She is very good, sort of serving almost as a moral compass to Snow, keeping him on track. We also have some fun little comic relief from Jason Schwartzman as TV weatherman, Lucky Flickerman, also an amateur magician. He's very fun. We also have a very entertaining straight-laced Peter Dinklage, as Dean Highbottom, the creator of the games. Peter Dinklage is a very reliable presence, and yeah, he's really good here once again. But I have to give props here to a very fun scenery-chewing turn from Viola Davis. Like, she is so much fun. She's relishing her villain role, Dr. Gall, with having a blast doing this, like, sort of almost pantomime mustache twirling villain. She is great. And, all these characters are very interesting and they do feel fairly well developed. Again, particularly Snow and Lucy Gray. And they're all served very nicely by the long runtime, but sort of my big issue with the film is that the final act feels a bit rushed in comparison to how well developed and well rounded and fleshed out the first two thirds were. Like, it sort of reminds itself, oh yeah, this is a prequel. We have to get that character to where he was at that point in the main series. So, we gotta just kind of flick a switch and hey, look, Snow's evil now. Like, it's kind of a shame because the development here was really strong. And I mean, there are setups here throughout the film that are paid off in the third act, but it sort of feels like how those payoffs are delivered is a bit rushed, which is a shame, but it is a satisfying end to the film overall, but certainly how it got to that end felt a little hurried. And yeah, those are my thoughts on Hunger Games: Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Very much enjoyed it overall. I will absolutely be checking out the rest of the franchise because this was a really strong prequel, very compelling for fans and newcomers alike. And I am going to give it an 8 out of 10. So yeah, let me know down in the comments, have you seen Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes? What do you think of it? Are you a fan of the franchise? Are you a newcomer? Will you be checking out the rest of the franchise based on this? And what did you make of the third act? Let me know all that down in the comments. Don't forget the thumbs up button if you enjoyed. Don't forget the subscribe button if you're new. And don't forget to turn on post notifications so you don't miss an upload.